hard for me to talk about being one of the 1 in 4. And for those of you who don't know what that is, 1 in 4 women will experience either pregnancy loss or infant loss in their lifetime. But I wanted to share my story, and as much as I've been on YouTube on my various channels, I've never really talked about this whole process. The trying to conceive process is stressful enough. I was married for 5 years before I found out I was pregnant, and we have been trying for 6 years. Don't do the math. But anyway, we were trying to conceive, and I had issues with my menstrual cycle prior to getting married, and I discovered that, you know, they kept telling me, oh, it wouldn't be a problem, it's not going to be a problem, don't worry about it, we'll get you off of your birth control in a year or so, you should be able to get pregnant, or we'll give you like medicine or whatever. So me and my husband went the traditional route. I was always told, you know, my weight could be an issue because I was really, really overweight. I was about 275 at the time, so about 100 pounds heavier than I am right now, and had high blood pressure, things like that. Like, I wasn't healthy enough to have a baby, but I still wanted to have a baby because I know the older you get, you hit that geriatric age really quick as a woman, and I'm just like, I don't want that, so I'm ready, you know, to have a baby. So I thought it was going to be a lot easier. It ended up being a crap load of stress. Oh my gosh, it was so stressful. Every month, I think I had a stash of pregnancy tests at one point, a stash. Okay, and I would pull out that stash when my period was like a little late. And it got to the point that I realized that the moment I pulled from that stash, and I peed on it and it would be negative, that my period would come like the next day or something. So I always felt like I should just wait. But, you know, sometimes my period would be 1 day late, or sometimes it would be 2 weeks late, whatever. So one day in April of 2012, I had been experiencing tender boobies and all that stuff. So I was like, but I thought, because I was in like February, because I remember calling my mom, she's like, I hope you're not pregnant. Like, I mean, we weren't technically in the best situation, but I mean, financially, we were both working, we were okay, it wasn't like, it was detrimental. So anyway, everyone knew how much I wanted to have a baby. My daughter was, at that point, 9. Our daughter was like 9, I think, at that point. No, she was older than that. She was about 13. So we really wanted to have a baby. I think at that point we might have been, you know, hitting that end stage of it might be just too late. We had been married for 5 years, so we kind of get used to each other. You get used to your family being what your family is. And so we, but I remember my nipples hurting, like they were chafing. And I never experienced that before. And I was just like, what is going on here? And so I was just like, oh my God, what is going on? And like, I was taking medicine because they hurt so bad. So my coworker was like, take a pregnancy test. You're probably pregnant. And I'm like, no, 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 I'm not. I was working out. I had just did this major, major workout and I didn't die. I almost died, but I didn't die. And I was like, no, I'm not pregnant. What are you talking about? So I go home on a Tuesday night. I take the test and I'm pregnant. I snap the picture, send it to my husband. He's like, oh, I don't want to say anything until, you know, you go to the doctor and we confirm it and blah, 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 blah. So I make an appointment to go to the doctor because I am on blood pressure medicines. I do want to make sure that everything is safe for the baby or whatever. All my medicines were safe at the time. And they take the blood test, which is weird. They didn't do that in Cali, but they took the blood test and they get the results back in 24 hours. Cool beans. So Thursday, I get the results in and confirm we're pregnant. Yes. I told my mom, my sister, my coworkers. I told everybody because if you knew me, you knew that we'd been trying for 5 years. Like, oh my God, it was so many people that I told. And that morning, and that afternoon, I went to the bathroom and was spotting. And I Google it. My coworker is like my sister, so I'm hyperventilating. And she's like, no, don't worry about it. During that in-play, you don't know how far along you are yet. Like during that stage, during the early stages, you can spot or whatever. So spotted all night, was super nervous, called the doctor. They wanted me to come in Friday. My husband was off that Friday. We went to the doctor and it was confirmed that I was losing the baby. I was 8 weeks. My whole mood just changed. And I kept praying and saying, why? Like, we've waited this long. Like, we waited. Like, I did everything I was supposed to do. I was married. I had a good paying job, a decent job. It was decent. And, we're doing everything that we're supposed to do. So why would this happen? Why even play with someone's emotions like this? And so I remember I had to tell people, but I just kept everything to myself that Friday. And we went to the mall. I don't know why we went to the mall. I had to get some blood work done. We went to the mall and they confirmed I was losing the baby because the levels were dropping from what they previously were on Tuesday. They were dropping. So I had two things. I could have a DNR, I think is what it's called, or the baby could pass on its own. So I actually really had to go to the bathroom when we were leaving the mall, and I went to Burger King because I was right there by the White Marsh Mall. And I went in the bathroom. I left the car. We left the car running. My husband stayed in the car. And I went to pee. And like this plop came out. And I was in that stall bawling my eyes out for it felt like 5 or 10 minutes because I realized I had to flush the toilet. You guys, that was like the hardest thing. That to this day was 6 years ago, and I've never been back to that Burger King since. Not the drive-through, nothing. I've just never been back there. I decided to just lay in the bed. I went home. We got home. I didn't feel like doing anything. I just laid in the bed. I took 2 weeks off work because I worked in financial aid where people would bring in their babies and all that stuff all the time, and I just couldn't do it. I took 2 weeks off of work to then discover that this was hard on my husband too. It hit him a little later, I think about a week or so after it hit him. And so we're just two upset people, right? And then for someone to come and tell you, oh, well, it wasn't your time. God knows what he's doing. It wasn't your time. You guys, sometimes you just need to be cautious of what to say. Like, seriously. So, it took a long time to recover. It took a long time to get over it. I think it was maybe a year and a half, almost 2 years, before I learned to live in contentment with my family. I learned to accept that my family is my blessing the way that they are, and that if nothing were to ever change and we were just to have my beautiful daughter, that we were enough. We were more than enough. And if I never birthed a baby, it did not make me less of a woman. It did not make me less of a wife. That a woman's purpose is not just to reproduce. I had to understand and accept that that may be my life, and that that is okay, that that does not mean that I am not worthy of being loved or being a mom in a different fashion, other than the traditional route. For those of you who follow me and know this is the Working Mom Hustle channel, 2 years later, I was diagnosed with congestive heart failure and had to change my life completely, and or else I was gonna die. So I had to lose weight, or else I was gonna die. And I did that. I lost weight, and I lost that 30 pounds. And I found out on my birthday, almost a year later, from being diagnosed, that I was pregnant, and I was horrified. And I found out that my heart was strong enough to keep the baby. I made it through the first trimester. I made it through the second trimester, which is really the trimester that my high-risk doctor was nervous about. I made it to birth, where I almost died again. And here I am, 4 years post that, where we just celebrated 2 weeks ago our son's 4th birthday with his sister, who is now 19 years old. I say all this to say, I share my story to say, I share my pain to say, you're gonna be okay. It's hard. It doesn't matter if you have kids or if you don't have kids, or how bad you want kids, or if you actually birthed your child, and they're no longer here. It is hard. It is hard. It's hard to even think about. And I was blessed to be able to carry my son and have our son. Live your life. Be happy in your life. Look around you, look at your spouse, and love on your spouse right where you are. Like, do not sit here and live your life pining over something that you don't have, because you're not going to enjoy what you do have. You're not going to enjoy the blessings that you do have. And I am coming from a place that I know it's painful. I know that you're going to grieve. I grieve every April, knowingly or unknowingly, for the past 6 years. Your journey to motherhood isn't over. It isn't over. There are women out here having babies at 40, 50 years old. There are women out here 400 and 500 pounds pregnant, out there who are 1 and 4, and who are celebrating the lives of the angels that they never got to meet, or the angels that didn't stay on this earth long. My heart goes out to you, and take some time today to breathe and be blessed for the moments that you did have, no matter how short or how long they were.